How are you all today? Welcome back. Last week was Chaka, right? Yeah. So this is the first week of the month. How's everyone? Okay. How many of you went for Chaka, the conference? Yeah, a number of you. And how about the rest? What do you all do? Yay! Huh? Oh, some of you went for refuge taking. Yeah, the conference was interesting. There are many, I'm sure many of you who went had learnings and takeaways. There were a couple of things that struck me, and one of them was during the youth breakout. Then there was this Rinpoche, or this Geshe, and in the youth breakout session, the workshop, there were different questions that were asked. I was quite surprised that there wasn't much question about relationships. Yeah, I was like all geared up to answer questions on relationships, BGR, and things that pertains to youth. And in the end, all the questions were all over the place. But one of the questions that came up was about how if we have a friend who we know of someone who is undergoing depression, and that person is not a Buddhist, how should we help them? The Geshe is actually sort of, in a way, a title. It is actually it's not the name of the Lama, but it's sort of, you could say, like a position that a person has reached. It's equivalent to a professor. Yeah, someone who has gone through rigorous training in the teachings, and they must have gone through the defending of their knowledge. Yeah, very rigorous back and forth. Then they are, in a way, conferred the Geshe title. Yeah. So what he said was most interesting, because before that, Brother Tan was saying that Tan Ho Sun from Nalanda Institute, he was sharing about how we should encourage them to have positive thinking and things like that. And then the first thing that the Geshe said was, you cannot tell them to think positively. I was sitting between them, I was like, but he substantiated, he said, and the reason is because they are not able to, that's why they are depressed. And I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, to begin with, if they can think positively, they wouldn't be depressed, isn't it? So you cannot just tell them to not think negatively and think positively. Yeah, because it's like what I always tell you, I don't ask people to let go. Because if it's so easy, then you wouldn't have to, learn so much. Just let go. But what's most interesting was that he said, get them busy. Yeah, ask them to go and watch movies. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that's what I kind of suggested to people also. There was one time, there was a person who shared with me that he was feeling a bit depressed and apparently diagnosed with like clinical depression. And I look at him, I talk to him for a while, I'm like, what are you depressed with, Yeah. In the end, I asked him to go for a walk, a 3-hour walk. Yeah, and every single week we would go for a walk. Walk. I don't know whether that helped him, but after a few weeks, he never talked about his depression anymore. He was too busy walking with me. But the other thing that struck me about the Geshe-la's, so wait, let me finish the Geshe-la's reply first. Then he said that after getting them to be busy And the thing is that when they're busy doing something, then they don't have time to dwell into negative thoughts. They don't have time to dwell into negativity. And I thought, yeah, that's perhaps why depression is oftentimes a first world problem. Think about it. Our parents' time, they don't have it any easier than us. But they are not depressed. Some people said, no, Shifu, they were depressed. They just didn't know it. Well, maybe not knowing it is what helped them, because then they move on with life. They don't sit down there and wallow in their self-pity. Oh, I'm feeling so depressed. Oh, poor me. You know, because they got better things to do. Because if they were to spend that day depressing over their feelings, they will get fired. And then next thing you know, their family will be in trouble. So the one thing that I've observed in many of the cases of depression that I've come across and handled was that oftentimes they are not required to have any responsibility for others. Whether because they don't have that duty, or they were not, they somehow did not get into that situation where they are responsible for something. Take for example, again, our parents. Many of our parents, before they even finish studying, they have to be responsible for their siblings. Families these days usually have 1 or 2 children, yeah, and they are not even responsible for themselves. They have maids to be responsible for many things that they used to have to do themselves to begin with. And by the time they finish their studies, again, they are not responsible for the family's well-being. Yeah? Not the housework, not to pay bills, nothing. No responsibility whatsoever. They are not obliged, not required in any ways. Yeah? So, I don't know. In a way, this is not a bad thing. Yeah? Because this is what our parents worked for. Our parents wanted us to have an easier life. And we in turn want our younger generation to have an easier life. Not to be obligated by all these responsibilities, isn't it? But then guess what? That may well, lay the foundation for many people to have too much free time to, oh, poor me. So that's where the Geshe-la then said that you get them busy, and then along the way, give them small little bits of different idea of thinking. Yeah, that is a bit more positive. That is in a different angle, different direction. And then slowly they may, move away from depression. But in the process, he shared that he shared his actual process, and he shared that the person whom he encountered was not a Buddhist. So instead of asking that person to come and see him immediately, because I think he mentioned that he ever encountered and they will be like, oh, I'm afraid, I don't want to see this person, So he said he just chat with that person first. And I can't remember whether he meant on the phone or on text. Yeah. And he just chat. And the one thing that really struck me was what he said. He told that person, don't treat me like I'm a monk or I'm a geshe or something. I'm just a normal human being. Yeah, and I thought that was really something. Yeah. To ask them to treat you like a normal human being. How many of you ever had to tell somebody, treat me like a normal human being? Most of us don't have to, isn't it? Because people just treat you like a normal human being. 2 things. One, sometimes I do have to tell people, just treat me as a normal human being. And that's why that statement from him left an impression on me. Because, yeah, sometimes people don't treat us as normal human beings. For better or worse. And sometimes that kind of extraordinary treatment prevents us from open communication. Yeah. It becomes a barrier, yeah, more than a bridge. And so when the Geshe told the person, like, treat me just as a normal human being, there are so many levels of it. For one, he's not interested in the fact that he went through 10, 20 years of training. Yeah, he was not trying to use that to impress him, impress the counselee that he was trying to help. You know, that if that becomes a barrier, throw that away. Throw that away. Yeah, you don't have to treat me special. Treat me just like a normal human being. Talk to me. I thought that was so beautiful. That it's not just about the concept, non-attachment, but he was truly not interested at all, not to mention being attached to it. That he was ready to say, just, I'm a human being. That was so beautiful. The other thing that perhaps come to mind is that sometimes when we try to help someone, the basis of us helping them is that we don't treat them as a normal human being. We treat them as someone who is special, someone who is different in a different state, someone who has a problem, someone who cannot help themselves, someone who is like this, someone who is like that. And so there was something that a person that I talked to before, technically you call it counseling, but half the time when I counsel people, I just chit-chat with them. And sometimes the chit-chat has so much laughter, people wonder whether I'm counseling them or just chatting people up, But I generally think that sometimes people just need to talk and just chat, And the one thing that one of these people that I chit-chat with told me was something that really struck me and touched me a lot, actually. She said, in the process of talking to me, there was one thing that was different when she come and see me. And it was that I treated her like a normal human being. Yeah. Not with pity, not as someone who is like, oh, like that, like this or like that, but just talk to her as it is. It didn't occur to me at all. I wasn't trying very hard to be like that, but I just talked. And from her I realized, yeah, that is something that is very important. Yeah, because sometimes when we try to help people, we unconsciously help people in a special way by treating them specially. And sometimes they need, yeah. Like if you see someone fainted on the ground, you should treat them specially. Yeah. You see someone in fits, you should treat them specially. Yeah. You don't go like, how are you? Are you okay? Yeah, there are some special cases where you need to treat them specially. Yeah. But many times, the best way to help people is to just treat them normally. Then they can behave normally. Yeah. And then they can truly behave normally, or they can be at ease, knowing that it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. So there were many other takeaways. I didn't attend the other workshops because I was in the youth workshop panel. But there was another speaker, the moderator for the professional panel. I didn't memorize everything that he said, but there was this part about a summary that he gave, which was about the 3 Ps. Yeah, 3 Ps. Yeah. So about how we are able to relate better at work. Yeah. And the first P has 2 parts. A show of hands again, those who went for the conference. See how many of you remember. So the first P has two parts. Yeah. It's about professional fit. Yeah. So one part was passion. The other part was ability. Yeah. Do you have passion for what you are doing? In other words, interest. And the other part is ability. Some people are able to do it but not interested in doing it. Some people are interested in doing it but don't have the ability to do it. They say, teacher, I want to try, but don't know how to do it. Yeah. Sometimes in a company you have people who are like that, you know. Oh, every project, boss, I can do it, I do it. Then in the end, you know, the thing is never delivered. Sometimes because of that inability. Then there are those who have the ability but are not so interested in doing it. Because maybe, you know, all the modern talk about work-life balance, I can do it, but I need to go for my SGC. Then of course the worst case is those who are not able to do it and are not interested in doing it. Yeah, this nobody can help you. You need to find a new job. The best combination is are those who have the passion and the ability. Yeah. How many of you would describe yourself as being in this category, where you have the passion and the ability to do what you are doing now? Huh? Really? Huh? Nobody? Nobody? Oh, there's one person. Oh, Jen's daughter is raising her hand. A lot of people thought that individuals choose to live the lay life, live the corporate life, because they don't like what they are doing or they are not good at what they are doing. For myself, it was neither. I have all the passion in what I was doing, and I must say, without batting an eyelid, without being proud or boastful, I was pretty good at it. So I was having a ball of a time. Yeah, happy as a bird every day. Mondays blues. I never had Monday blues. I was looking forward to Monday every single week. Yeah, but I don't think I was a workaholic because I never do OT as well. I was always ahead of time for my schedule. Yeah, life was good. Life was good. But the question is, how do we resolve this? Yeah. Hello, Asinga. Yeah. Well, very in brief, passion. I once told some kids, literally kids, if you can find interest in whatever you are doing, instead of trying to find something that you are interested in, then you will never be bored. Whatever that you happen to be doing, try to find interest in it. Try to ask yourself, hey, what is this about? Ask yourself this simple question, what is this about? I think Asing want to talk to you. Yeah, then you solve the passion problem. And ability is also very easily solved. Yeah, you know, you have the skill gap analysis thing, yeah, corporate world. It's beautiful, you know, like we are in this time of human history where there are so many tools to help us. There was once I counseled this person for work, and he was telling me that, oh, he's always being called in by his boss and reprimanded for this and that, because things are not so clear, what he's supposed to do, how he's supposed to do it, blah, 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 blah. So then I said, okay, so but how long have you been in the company? And he said, about 2 years. And I was like, 2 years? And in this role? Yeah, about there as well. And that's where I was like, well, if you are only like 3 months in the role, I would say, yeah, understandable. But 2 years? And has your boss ever sit down with you to outline and brief you? He said, no, my boss is too busy. So I said, then have you ever come out with a checklist and sit down with your boss? He said, no, my boss is too busy. So I'm like, well, maybe you should do something about it, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, but that's another talk altogether. Let me don't dwell too much into it. So that's the first P. Second P, can you remember? There are 3 Ps. This is only the first one. Before we start our Yogacara Bhumisastra. Purpose, yes. Yeah. The day after the conference, while we are moving off in the car, I turned around and asked them, can you remember the 3 Ps? They all, a bunch of them. Yeah. The second one is the purpose. And it's about whether your purpose, your personal purpose, yeah, in other words, your direction, is aligned with that of the company. Yeah. And if they are aligned, then you can see yourself moving forward together. Whereas if the purpose, the mission statement, the purpose of the company and the work is less aligned with yours, then you will find that you can work for 1 year or 2 years, but long term, a bit tough. And a third P. What is the third P? Third P? Anyone? She can remember? How about the rest? Third P. People. Yeah, people. Yeah, people. Jason started off making a statement saying that many people think, oh, you need to have a good environment and so on, yeah, or good pay. You say, no, no, no. If you just have these two without the rest, you will struggle as well. Yeah, but the third thing is people. Yeah. I guess people will be your peers, your colleagues. Yeah. So there were many other sharings, but I will leave you all to go and scour the internet for more info. So let's take a look at my left side. Any new faces? Yes. Hello. What's your name and how do you get to know about this group cultivation?
Hello, my name is Jason. I get to know, yeah.
Not the same Jason. Yes.
I get to know this place from my college.
Ah, hello. Hi. Okay. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see who else. Who else? Yes. Next to Grace. Have you introduced before? Have you introduced before? Never. Yes. Okay.
Hello, my name is Lily. Actually, I attended the Chakra last week.
Ah, okay. I see, I see. Welcome, welcome. So did I remember correctly the 3 Ps?
Actually, I remember what Jason said.
Ah.
It's when you go to the world, have you ever thought of making other people happy?
Ah, yes, yes. That's a very crucial thing. Yeah. Did you all catch it? Yeah. We often think, oh, I don't like this company. I don't like that company. This place don't make me happy. That place don't make me happy. But has any one of us ever wake up in the morning and before we go to work, we think, I shall go to work to make my colleagues happy? And interestingly, yeah, no surprise actually, we look around, virtually nobody. Yeah, virtually no one. And so then he posed a question, if we don't do that, what makes us think that when we go to work, our colleagues should be doing that for us? And yeah, that was something very crucial. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, see, we all attended the same closing panel. I remember the 3 Ps. Yeah, vaguely remember that, but she recalled it. Very good, thank you. Who else? Who else is here for the first time on my left? I think they are all season parking holders. Okay, on my right. Let's see, on my right. Is it your first time? Really? I thought you...
You can see me.
Hello, I'm Bernard. This is my first time.
Oh yeah, you attend meditation class,
Yes, I
and
attend
you also
the
sit in front.
Yeah, I also sit here. That's why it
Feels-
feels already.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I got to know SGC through the meditation class conducted by Sifu.
Ah, okay. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, because you sit more or less in front also, so it feels very natural, you know.
Business class, right?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, good. Let me see, who else is here for the first time? I think the rest all... haven't introduced before. Come. Hello. Yes.
Sifu,
Yes.
my wife and I have been attending the outgoing
Heart Sutra class.
So we were told there's a session on Sunday. We're here for the first time.
Ah,
And my daughter was.
your daughter. Where's your daughter? Yes. Hello, daughter. What is your name, daughter?
Hi, I'm Rizwan.
Huh?
Hi, I'm Rizwan.
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 Rizwan. Rizwan. Is that English or Chinese? Oh, huh?
Chinese.
Chinese. Rizwan. Rizwan.
Rishan.
Rishan. How come become Rizwan? How old are you? 13 years old. Wow. Where are you working? Okay, maybe 13 years old is a bit too old for this joke already. Yeah. You're in Sec 1, I suppose? Okay, good. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Yeah, the same for you. I've been seeing you all in the Heart Sutra class, so looks too familiar. Good to see you all here. Let's see, who else? The rest, anybody else from other classes who just joined in today or have not introduced yourself? No? Oh, yes, yes. Ming Jun. Ming Jun, yes, come, Ming Jun.
Hello everyone, my name is Ming Jun and can we Jordan and I'm from the Chakra Talk.
Slowly.
I'm Ming Jun, you guys can call me Jordan. I'm from the
Wait. Slow down. Your name, just your name.
My name is Ming Jun.
Okay, and we can
You
call
guys
you
can call me Jordan.
Jordan.
Yeah, and I'm from the Chakra Talk last Sunday, and that's how I got to know of this talk. And I went to the Heart Sutra class yesterday too. Yeah.
And why do you go to the Heart Sutra class?
I think it was interesting.
But how do you know about the Heart Sutra class?
I just happened to come here and wanted to ask Sifu some question, and I happened to know that there was a class going on, so I just joined.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's one of the stalker after the Chakra conference. Welcome. All right. If you are here for the first time or have not introduced yourself, you may raise your hand now, or else hold your peace until the end of the session. So welcome to the spiritual group cultivation, where we have short puja, short meditation, and not so short Dharma sharing. So before I dive straight in, I just wanted to share one last thing, which is, earlier on you may notice that I was trying to slow down the chanting. Yeah. So when we do chanting of sutra, the pace is usually not so fast. Yeah. Mantra, yes, we will chant faster. Yeah. And why? Because sutras are the words of truth. So we don't want to go through so fast that you don't have time to connect with the meaning. Yeah. Whereas for mantra, they are usually transliteration, meaning that if you just look at it word for word, there's literally no meaning. Yeah. These are just the sound of the words that by themselves have meaning also. Yeah, but it's usually chanted for the sound, more for the sound than the meaning itself. So when we chant mantra, we don't chant slowly. We usually chant relatively faster. And that's because to chant a mantra, we should have learned the teachings behind the mantra. Yeah? And cultivated the contemplation behind the mantra already. So that when you chant the mantra, like say for example, when we recite Om Mani Padme Hum, yeah, the 6 syllables. The Om and then the Hum. There are many varied explanations, but the gist of it is that Mani Padme, the wish-fulfilling pearl in the hand or in the lotus. Yeah? So it signifies the compassion, the great compassion of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva. Yeah. So we usually, when we chant Om Mani Padme Hum, what do we chant it for? We chant for blessing, yeah, to receive help. We chant to ask观世音菩萨 to fulfill our wish. But the way we should be chanting is, may we be like the wish-fulfilling pearl, to fulfill the wish of all sentient beings, to relieve them of suffering and to give them happiness. Yeah. Now, if you were to cultivate yourself in this way, and then when you chant Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, then it's no longer, wow, with tears, wow, calling观世音菩萨, please lah, you see I cry so much already, please, iPhone 8 or something. No, but rather, it should be to reflect on the suffering of sentient beings, yeah, and to wish to become the vessel, to become the vehicle, the hand that helps, yeah, sentient beings to fulfill their dreams. Yeah, so, and as a result, yeah, when we recite a mantra, we don't necessarily chant it so slow, but we just connect with that teaching. But when we chant Heart Sutra, it should not be so fast that you cannot resonate with the meaning itself. Yeah, so when we recite Bora Bolo Mito Xing Jing Guan Zi Zai Pu Sa Xing Shan Bora Bolo Mito Shi Zao Jian Wu Yun Jie Kong Du Yi Qie Ku Sa Li Zhi Sa Bu Yi Kong Kong Bu Yi Sa Sa Ji Shi Kong Kong Ji Shi Sa Sou Xiang Xing Shi Yi Fu Ru Shi. Yeah. So the pace should be fairly regular, yeah, so that you can still connect with the teachings itself. So keep that in mind. Okay. So those with the handout, you can flip to the last few pages. Those without, you can look at the screen. Today we are at the, let me see. So we are right at the end already. Let me see, where are we? Improper. I think we are at number 37. Is it? Yes. Improper care or mentoring of disciples. So, wow, what happened? Is that someone? Is that screaming from our? So this is part of the Yogacara Bhumisastra text, and this is one of the translated chapter, yeah, the chapter on the Bodhisattva precepts. The Bodhisattva precepts, in this case, when we think of precepts, it seems like it's a series of do's and don'ts. And if you were to look at the the text itself, it seems to be the case. Yeah? But as explained before and shared before, the Bodhisattva vows and precepts is an undertaking whereby it starts off not with these precepts. It starts off with the intent, with the wholesome intent to look upon the suffering of all sentient beings. And from there, give rise with compassion and the intent to be able to help them be free of suffering, to have true happiness. And in order to do that, strive to attain enlightenment, strive to attain Buddhahood. Yeah, so even though the Bodhisattva attain Buddhahood, it is not for themselves that they attain Buddhahood, but in order to be of assistance to others. Yeah, that is a Bodhisattva. So with that in mind, then these so-called precepts or vows are the means for such a person to accomplish that goal. If you look at it that way, then it's no longer just a set of rules that you can or cannot do. Yeah? But rather, these are steps, undertaking, decisions on your own. That you say, if I want to help somebody, then of course I must make sure that I'm well trained. Then of course I must know what is the most effective way to help others. What are the areas to be careful of? Not so much like a rule or a law. Yeah. Like, for many of you who are parents, there's no law. Okay, in Singapore there are a lot of laws. Like there's a law about education, that you must give your child education up to a certain age. Yeah. But in a way, if you think about it, why do we have this law? It is because we feel that, no, it doesn't matter what you think, but your child deserves an education and should be given an education. Yeah? But for most parents, does it matter whether there's such a law? For most parents, it doesn't matter. Because most parents will try their best to provide for their children. In fact, now we should have another law where parents should not give their children so much homework. Yeah? We don't have to worry about parents not giving their child education. We should be worried about the parents giving their child too much enrichment class, too much tuition, too much of everything. Yeah, that in the end the child have no more childhood. Yeah. So in the case of a Bodhisattva, these serve more as pointers. Pointers by who? Yeah, pointers by those who have walked this path before. By the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas who have walked this path already. And saw that, these are areas that you should be, you should take note. And in this case, in precept number 37, improper care or mentoring of disciples. Maybe when you look at this title, you may think, Shifu, this one is talking about you. Yeah. If a Bodhisattva, caring and mentoring disciples out of anger or hatred, does not teach according to Dharma, nor request from the Brahmins or householders clothing, food, furniture, medicine, and accommodation whenever required, this is named a transgression. Multiple transgression is a transgression of default nature. If acted out of laziness, slackness, or in an unrestrained manner, such transgression is of undefault nature. Yeah. So over here, a bit of context. So the description of a Bodhisattva in this case is more of someone who is a teacher and who has disciples in the form of apprenticeship. Apprenticeship kind of teacher-disciple relationship. Yeah. Then some of these parts will apply. Yeah. So let's take a look at the details. if a Bodhisattva caring and mentoring disciples, that means if there are others who are not directly under the care and mentorship of this Bodhisattva, then this doesn't apply. Because just because you're a Bodhisattva doesn't mean you're responsible for everybody else. Yeah? While you seek to help everybody, but you cannot be responsible for everybody's livelihood and everything. Because here, you look at it, not just the teaching, but nor request from the Brahmins or householders clothing, food, furniture, medicine, and accommodation whenever required. In other words, teachers in the past, they would provide not just the Dharma, but provide clothing, food, furniture, medicine, and accommodation. Wow, all of you, wow! Shifu, where's my clothing? Where's my Gucci bag? Yeah. So unless you are in a teacher-apprenticeship relationship, are you all my apprentice? Yes. Yeah. Now that you see the benefit immediately, yes, sir, sign me up. Yeah. Before that, ask you to do a bit of homework. Yeah. So this is a very closely knitted kind of teacher-disciple relationship. Yeah. More like what we call 师徒 than 师父 and 学生. Yeah. In modern times, this has become lesser and lesser. Lesser and lesser. So, another key factor is that this Bodhisattva acted out of anger or hatred. Yeah. In the case of, let's say, how you all relate to most Shifu today, it will be about teaching of Dharma. Yeah. So if one day, or because Shifu is angry with you, then don't teach you Dharma. Then you can say, hey Shifu, precept number 37, improper care of. That's why sometimes some of you, who have been volunteers, would have heard me ever say this. You must remember, it doesn't matter whether I'm angry or not. If you are wrong, you're wrong. Yeah, number one. Number two, no matter what happened, I don't say you cannot come for class. If as a result you think Shifu don't want to see you, you think that Shifu is angry, that's why Shifu scold you, and then Shifu don't want to see you in class, that's your own thinking. Yeah, I often highlight. Yeah. If there's one thing that I can say, I am able to do, it is that, number one, even when things mess up, I'm oftentimes telling people off, or even reprimanding or scolding, not because I'm personally angry. Yeah, I dare say that I'm not personally angry, but more like, not angry in that sense. Yeah, but more that if after repeated nice words, the person just, yes, Sifu, then repeat the same thing. Yes, Sifu, you repeat the same thing. Then you need to, in the Buddhist tradition, we have this 愤怒相, appear angry, so that you drive across the point, to be stern, Like for example, now if I were to speak in this way, do you do your homework? Why didn't you do your homework? Is this the first time? It's the first time. Okay. So some students say, 师父, you shouldn't joke so much. You shouldn't smile. 不庄严啊. Yeah. Some students who are more traditional type, they often, sometimes, not often, sometimes they will say, 师父, please don't smile, please don't joke, and don't move at all. different teachers have different approaches. Yeah. But from what I see, when the speaker is solemn, yeah, and serious, sometimes it brings about a sense of foreboding. People start to feel like, hey, what happened? Hey, you got Sifu upset today. Yeah, and sometimes people just mentally block out. They can't absorb anything anymore. But of course, it is a balance. If there's too much laughter, then it's totally open. Things come in, things go out. You cannot retain anything also. Yeah. But this is what I often highlight. Yeah. Most importantly, number one, regardless of whether I'm angry or not, and for that matter, I'm personally not angry about things. Yeah. Or at least not angry about the person. Yeah. But we should not expect people to simply accept anything that comes. Yeah, shouldn't be that way. But most importantly, regardless of whatever happened, I personally never tell people you cannot come for Dharma class. I have ever tell people you cannot volunteer during this period. That I have ever said. And why? This is what I told some of the volunteers before. We can find someone to replace you for volunteer work. When I say that, I don't mean to trivialize people who volunteer, but it is a fact. Today, you cannot take video. For example, if KS cannot take video, I'm sure I can find someone to take video. Yeah? Even if I cannot find, okay, no video. But if the volunteer don't attend classes, I tell them, I cannot find someone to replace you to attend class, Understand? My concern is whether you learn Dharma. I cannot find someone to sit in for you to attend class. And you may say, oh, but the person helped me record, listen for me, then explain to me. It's different. Yeah, it's different. Work can be replaceable. Yeah. But learning Dharma, I can't find someone to sit in for you. Yeah, so here, this is the emphasis. Yeah? That if a Bodhisattva, out of anger or hatred, does not teach according to Dharma, that is a problem. So the front part is about the spiritual training. The later part is about the material support, which means that teachers in the past, in the teacher-disciple, mentorship, apprenticeship kind of relationship, has two responsibility. Yeah, one is the material support. The other one is what in Chinese we call 法身慧命, your spiritual life. One is your physical life, your physical well-being. The other one is your spiritual life, your spiritual well-being. Yeah? The teacher is responsible for these two parts. These days, we are usually responsible for your spiritual part. Material is your own pasar. But if you were to ordain, yeah, let's say you one day you come and tell me, oh, Sifu, I want to become a monk. Then it depends on whether Sifu say yes. If I say, let me think about it, then you still have to go and find out your own roti and whatever. But if Sifu say, okay, then from that moment onwards, then when we arrange for a day for you to be ordained, or to come in as anagarika, yeah, 进士男,进士女, yeah, to come in as a preparatory stage. From that point onward, we have to be responsible for your material part also. But of course, material part here, what does it include? Clothing, food, furniture, medicine, and accommodation. It never include annual travel package. Okay, no guarantee for travel. Yeah, What else? No mention about iPhone lah, yeah, internet subscription. No, minimal subsistence. Okay, minimum subsistence. What else? So it is named a transgression. That means you have transgressed against the path. But actually transgress against who? And as said before, transgress against our own wishes. In this case, the Bodhisattva's own wishes. Yeah? You transgress against your own wish to be helpful to others. In this case, you're supposed to be helpful to your disciple. But when you don't do this, you're transgressing against your own wish to help them. Yeah? Multiple transgressions. If you do it once, it counts as one transgression. If you do it 3 times, it's 3 transgressions. It's a transgression of default nature. Not just transgression, but the nature of it. In other words, the quality of it is default. Why? Because it's driven by anger and hatred, or anger or hatred. Yeah. Now, but there are other circumstances. What if you are doing? What if you don't teach properly, or you never go and acquire, let's say, all those 4 requisites from the Brahmins or householders, yeah, for your disciple, but it is done out of laziness. Then what happens? If it's laziness means you don't feel like doing it. Yeah, slackness means you have been doing it, but that day you stop doing it. Yeah, or in an unrestrained manner. Yeah, you supposed to give a certain amount, you don't give a certain amount. That means you don't give in the proper amount. Yeah, then such transgression is of undefiled nature. It's still considered wrong, but not wrong in a particular way. In what way? Defiled way. Why? Because it's not driven by defilements. Okay? And of course, as with the other rules, there are exceptions. What are the exceptions? Special zoom. So the exceptions are this. If one uses skillful means, causing the other party's defilements to be subdued, as has been said in Precepts 6. Yeah, so this is a repeated clause. Yeah. So sometimes your teacher may decide not to teach you. And under what circumstances? Because maybe we repeatedly make the same mistake. Yeah? Tell you not to sit in this way, you keep on sitting in this way. Okay, then I don't talk to you. Yeah. But teachers don't have the free ticket to just anyhow do this. The teacher must do this knowing that this will cause the other party's defilements to be subdued. Now, before I go further, how many of you are currently Bodhisattva teachers? Don't seem to be, right? But then in that case, does this apply to you? In my opinion, if you are a parent, this in many ways apply to you. If you have anyone who is dependent on you, whether in terms of their food, lodging and so on, or for their training. Maybe you are a senior in your company and you're supposed to mentor somebody. Then certain parts of this would apply. Yeah, it would apply. Okay? And even if you are a young person, you are studying, you are a student, maybe in your school, you are the class monitor. Or maybe you are in the CCA, you are the, you are the office bearer, then you have certain responsibilities as well. Yeah? Then you should discharge your responsibilities in a suitable manner. Yeah? And not simply because, you are the, let's say you are the treasurer of the club, but you don't like this person, you have a quarrel with this person. So when the person submit a proposal for some programs, then you keep on delaying it, or you don't approve it. Yeah, then that's not right. So, but sometimes, let's say if we are parents, and by right we should counsel our children, we should talk to them, and so on and so forth. But under certain circumstances, we should just ignore them. Sometimes you should just ignore them and not teach them. Yeah, just leave them alone. Why? In some cases, what cases? In a case where sometimes if you do that, it may get them to think, hey, my mommy always busybody me this, busybody me that. I go out late, then always call me, text me, wow, very kanchiong. Hey, today how come it's already 11 plus? Usually 10 o'clock, 9:30, already text like crazy. Receive 30 messages. Today, nothing. What happened? 11:30, still never call me. For some children, it may get them to think, hey, what happened? Then in the end, they may come back early, But you must know your child, because some children, hey, today 11:30 still never call me. Maybe她想通了. Yeah? You must know your child. Maybe your child may think, hey, good, finally my mother sought his, I think because nowadays my mom go to this place called Buddhist Union, then attend SGC. Maybe she has some wisdom. Finally let me be free. So you must know which is the way. Yeah, but this is quite general, okay, pertaining to how we deal in a way. Yeah, sometimes if you don't give that kind of steps to care for them and so on and so forth, yeah, it may get them to think, get them to reflect, have introspection. Yeah, introspection is something that is so powerful, yeah, because if every time we tell them once, tell them two times, 3 times, 4 times, then in the end, what do they think about it? It's so naggy, yeah. But if you always don't say anything, then you are buchak. But you usually would say something, but once in a while you don't say. You'll get them to think. Okay? Number 2, if in order to uphold motions passed by the Sangha. So in this case, this is where the community has made a decision, okay, that this particular person, that no one is to teach this person anything, that no one is to provide them with any material items. Then, in order to uphold the decision by the community, by the group, you shouldn't do it. In the case of parents, again, actually a lot of this apply to parenting. Yeah, sometimes I tell parents, so are there consequences for their actions? There must be consequences. So this is one of the consequences in the Sangha. In the Buddhist community, there's no punishment there's no corporal punishment. Yeah, there's no such a thing as, this person break a rule, so brought to the center of the whole hall and caned 3 times. No. In the Sangha, there's no such a rule. But sometimes, when a certain action is done, then the community may send a representative to go and talk to that person and advise that person, counsel the person up to 3 times. 三见舍则善，不舍则what. Cannot tell you the full detail. But the thing is, the person is given a chance. Yeah, repeated counsel, repeated advice, and given up to 3 times only. Yeah, not like many parents have counseled before. How many times they counsel? 10 times, 20 times, 1,000 times. I don't know how many times. If you go beyond 3 times, it's a nag already. So what does the Sangha do? If certain matters can be counseled, we counsel. If after 3 counsel, the person still refuses to budge, refuse to change their view, refuse to make amends, then what do? We make an executive decision that we all agree nobody is to talk to this person. This person shall, in a way, be temporarily excommunicated. This is very tough for parents to do. You ask parents not to talk to the child. Then the parents wonder, Sifu, who are you trying to punish? The child or me? And so here it talks about Sangha. But at home, do you have a Sangha? You don't have the monastic Sangha. But the term Sangha means an assembly. In this case, the Sangha in your house is the father and mother. So if father and mother have decided, then both must uphold the decision. Yeah? And that's one of the things that I have repeatedly highlighted to parents in parents class and in one-to-one counsel. Yeah, I tell them, the first thing we have to sort out is the mutual decision among father and mother. Yeah. Because if you haven't sorted this out, the child will go crazy. Sometimes not because they purposely, but because they are left wondering, hey, who should they listen to? And being young and immature, of course they listen to whoever suits their wishes, right? Yeah, they ask mother say cannot. Ask father say can. Okay, father say can. Yeah. If they ask father cannot, ask mother. Mother also say cannot, ask grandmother. So, important for the whole family, in this case, to stick to the decision. And that's why sometimes for some counseling, I actually ask them, who else is staying at home? Who else has close proximity to the child, to the teenager? Yeah, because I tell you it's amazing. Sometimes father and mother are both compliant. And then they got this uncle, they got this auntie who come and 做猴郎, come and be a nice person. Never mind, your father and mother don't know. I give you pocket money. Yeah, so supposedly the one way is to restrict the allowance, yeah, to get them to know that there are consequences, or to limit their usage of handphone, for example. Then father, mother restrict, then the nice auntie or uncle go and buy a handphone for them. What's yeah? Yeah. Sometimes it's the other way around. So regardless of that, if you are upholding the motion that has been decided, then it's not a transgression. Granted, the motion that was passed is for the welfare of the person. Okay. Number 3. If one is sick or weak. Yeah. So if you are sick and you cannot give counsel, you cannot teach, you cannot give food and so on and so forth, then you are not to be blamed. Yeah. If one gets another capable person to teach, you don't know how to teach, you pass to Sifu to teach, so that's why you don't need to teach. Okay, no problem. Yeah, but you must sign a waiver form. Yeah, indemnity form that Sifu can cane, can beat up your child, or nobody asks Sifu anymore. This is a topic that sometimes is quite trickier, because Sifu is a person who believes in corporal punishment. Yeah, corporal punishment means physical punishment. Yeah, but I don't say that all corporal punishment are the same. There is corporal punishment, and then there is corporal punishment. In my family, we do caning. I used to think that all caning are equal. Then I heard from parents in my parenting class the trauma, the excitement in caning. In my family, when we do caning, it is done in this way. First of all, whoever has done something wrong should report their own crime. Yeah. So we will go and report to our mother what we have done if we do something wrong. And then our mother will decide whether we are to be caned or not. And if we are to be caned, she will instruct us, the person who is going to be caned, to go and get a cane. And we will go and get a cane and come back and present it to her. not come and throw, come and present with 2 hands. And then we will stand approximately 1 feet away from her and perpendicular in direction. And then we will extend one hand, either right or left hand, whichever it may be, and hold it there. There shall be no attempt to retract. If any attempt is made to retract, and even if that results in partial caning, you shall be given more caning. So it's a very civilized process. And before you're caned, you're asked, do you know why you're being caned? Yeah. If you don't know, you'll be explained, and then you'll be caned. If you know, you'll be caned first, and then you'll be asked again why. And anyway, you'll be at least quite a few times. And let me tell you, is there anything that resembles a cane? This is too hard. Yeah. This will result in internal injury. Is there anything that looks like a cane here? Nothing, huh? Huh? Oh, cannot, Okay, let's assume this is a cane, okay? So, when caning is done, some parents, you know how they cane? They do this. Like this. This is called tapping. Okay? That is not caning. Yeah? Tapping has an inevitable consequence, which is, in Hokkien it's called yao jiao. It's called scratching the itch. It creates and induces this very nice tingling sensation. Yeah, that is akin to scratching. Doesn't produce any other effect than that. So if you ever try to cane someone, you must not do tapping. It should be done in one clean stroke. Yeah, and when it goes down, you should hear the whooping sound, which is the cane slicing through the air. Yeah, it must be done in one clean stroke. But caning is not meant as a punishment, really. It is meant to discipline. It's meant to educate. So the other thing about caning, okay, this precept is not so much about caning, but let me hijack it. If you are now in the position where your child is maybe 12 years and below, that means in primary school. Secondary school is a bit too old to cane already. Primary school can still be caned. Above 3 years old. Yeah, anyone above 3 years old is eligible for caning. 3 years and below is too young. They will forget. Yeah, and they are very fragile. You cane someone who is 2 years old, they will go. So the other thing about caning is, you must never cane to hurt the person, the child. It is to educate. It's not to scar the child. It's not to cane until the hand becomes limp. Yeah, because once you cane beyond a certain point and hit the threshold, the child becomes impervious to caning. You don't want to reach that point. You don't want to cane until the child knows that that's the most you can get. You always want to reach almost there, but not quite there. It's a psychological thing. Now, but before you all look at me and think, oh, Sifu is... the reason for caning, in my opinion, is because at a certain age, children really doesn't understand reason. It is beautiful and wonderful that I see many young parents wanting to reason with their child. It's beautiful. I completely think that it's wonderful, it's beautiful to do that. Unfortunately, I tell people in Chinese, in Mandarin, 道理是两个懂道理的人讲的. If your child is at the age where they don't know reason yet, you can't really reason with them. The trouble is, children these days, they have a full spectrum of vocabulary. They are very articulate. And this articulation creates a false sense of reason. It makes them look like they are very reasonable, that they can reason with you. And the moment you try to reason, you find many parents result in frustration. Because you know that 他们是在讲歪道理，他们不是在讲道理，他是在讲歪道理。And yet, because you already started down this path, you cannot later say no, no discussion. You already started down this path, then you got to accept that the person currently cannot, and what can you do? Does it mean that then you should cane? Not always. But what I observe is children at a certain age, while they cannot understand reason completely yet, they always want to reason. The one thing that they can understand is physical pain. And again, you see, it's not to hurt them physically, but to get them to associate the unpleasant physical pain with the misbehavior or the wrong behavior that they have done. Yeah, it's not meant to hurt them. Remember, no form of punishment is meant to hurt them. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So in case if you get another person such as, capable person such as Sifu, then you must be mentally prepared. But no lah, I was told that I was given an advice, never ever ever to hit or to cane anybody's child. Yeah. In retrospect, I tend to agree with that. Yeah, because no matter what the parent may say in front of me, if the moment they see me hit, yeah, even if just bang on the thigh or just strike with the cane, it's like caning them 1,000 times. Yeah. And we are emotional creatures. As long as you're not enlightened, we are emotional. And emotion will overwhelm us. And regardless of the best intent and the best result, no, cannot. Even grandparents caning the grandchildren, maybe the father, mother is not happy. Sifu, who is Sifu, man? So, number 5, if the other party is capable, has many friends, or is virtuous, and thus can acquire all required items himself. So if the other person can take care of themselves, then you don't have to do that. And if you don't do that because of this, there's no transgression. Yeah. So in this case, like all of you are capable of taking care of yourself, right? Say yes. Okay, so I don't have to take care of you. Number 6, if the other party has learned and already know the Dharma. So if you already learned, you already know. Yeah. Then because of I know you know, so I don't teach you, then there's no transgression. Yeah. Usually this is not the case. Usually the case is that party think that they have learned and think that they already know, so don't want to ask me to teach. Number 7, if the other party is a heterodox who tries to steal the Dharma and cannot be subdued. So what is number 7? If you try to teach someone the Dharma, but that person is actually from another school, in other words, another religion, and what he's trying to do is not really to learn and benefit from the teachings. Instead, what that person is trying to do is to steal the Dharma, to just learn enough of the teachings and make use of it for their own means. In such a case, if you are not able to convince them otherwise, then you should stop sharing the Dharma with them. Yeah, this is very clearly stated. Yeah, so that is precept number 37, improper care or mentoring of disciples. Yeah. You notice there's this air of solemnness, because just now Sifu talked about caning. How many of you have been caned in your life before? Raise your hand. Oh, quite a majority. How many of you have never been caned before? Just 1, 2, 3%. Wow. How many of you were caned in the way I described? Yeah? Stand there and then raise your hand, cane 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, how many times? By the principal? Wow, well done. Give him a round of applause. Wow. How many of you were caned in the yeah. We live in a different times now. Yeah. In some countries, if caning is even done, the state can actually persecute the parent. Singapore has not reached this state yet. Yeah, has not. But I see it coming. And I fear when it comes. Because yes, are there some parents who are delusional, who just take their children as venting machines? Not vending machines, but venting machines. Yeah, where they're frustrated with life and they just vent it on the child. There are. But should all parents be circumvented because a few parents are like that? I wonder. I wonder whether that is the right path. In the same way, are there teachers in the past who were irresponsible and who just vent their frustration with life, with work, or with whatever, and just physically abuse the child, the student? There are. But does it mean that no teachers, or that all teachers should then not be allowed to, even just cane on the hand for the child? I think last month I saw this video, one of the secondary school. The 2 kids were, three of them, in the classroom, not in some secluded place, fighting each other. And one relief teacher was standing at the corridor, just looking in and just telling them, don't fight, don't fight, don't fight. I cannot imagine in my time, Because I remember when I was in primary school, there were some who are in the P7, P8, the monolingual stream where they study 8 years instead of 6 years. In my time, there was the 8 years primary school. And some of them were like severely overage. So they were bigger size and all, and some of them are a bit like hooligan. And there was once, I was prefect, and so I would go around policing everybody. And because of that, a group of them, after the assembly, called me over and wanted to harass me. All it took was, I think was this teacher, Mr. Yusuf. He just shouted over, "Hey, what are you doing?" All of them, okay, just step back. And and that stopped it. They never ever come and harass me again. That was the kind of respect and authority that teachers have in the past, because they know that if they try to play monkey business, he's going to come and wallop them, No questions asked. You try to be funny, they're going to just pull you and drag you off, But nowadays, teachers can't do that. Teachers can't do that. Simply because maybe there were 1 or 2 bad cases. And while on paper it seems like, yeah, we should be civil, we should talk nicely. But there are some cases where children, primary school, in secondary school, they have gone beyond discipline. They just refuse to submit to authorities. What are you going to do? What are we going to do? I don't see how the current approach resolve any of this. Talk. Do you know how there was one primary school kid who was brought to me for counsel, and as I asked him some question, he looked at me with a glazed eyes and said, and I look at him and he looked at me and I said, "You've gone through a lot of this already, right?" He said, "Yeah, I know all the standard questions." They have gone through the system in the sense that they know the correct answers to give you if they want to go scot-free. And they know the limits of what you can do anyway. What are you going to do to me? in the past, only those paikiao would say such thing. 你要怎么样? You know, Cantonese 人命一條啊. You know. So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Now, if we look at the precept in the Chinese translation, as we did before, Precept 37, right? 不如法摄众戒第37. So, 若菩萨摄受徒众以嗔恨心. So this 摄众, this 众 refers to 徒众. Yeah, so your disciples, the assembly of disciples. 以嗔恨心, yeah, anger and hatred. 不如法教授. Do not teach properly. Do not teach according to the teachings. Guide them according to the teachings. Mentor them. 不随时从婆罗门居士. So here there's mention about Brahmin as in the translation. Why so? Because the Brahmins in those days, they were also part of the, in a way, they are religious, but they are more like priesthood. Yeah. So from the Brahmins and the lay person, we can actually receive the 4 requisites. 衣食卧具医药房舍随时供给. Yeah, so the way whenever it's required to provide this. If we don't do this, 是名为犯众多犯是犯软物起. 若懒惰懈怠犯非软物起. Yeah. So this is as we have explained before. 不犯则若以方便令彼调伏如前说. Yeah, this is what we have explained. Yeah, that this 方便, again, 方便 is not the way it's used today. Yeah, this morning for the youth ITBW, there was a question of the character I. Yeah, 爱情的爱. Why is it translated as craving? Yeah, not love. That's because certain words, the way we use it today, is actually quite narrow, yeah, and used in a particular context. But the scope of the actual meaning is much broader, number one. Number two, it is also because some of these words, the way it was used back then, when translations were done, is actually quite different from today. Yeah, so today when we see the word 方便, what does it mean? What does it mean? Or some of you point to the toilet. Yeah, that has that meaning also, but usually it means convenience. Yeah, so 方便 in the sutras or in classical texts, it means the methods, the means. Yeah, so 若以方便令彼调伏. So if through certain means, in this case, the means refer to not providing. Yeah, that's why just now I explained about how in certain cases, by not providing, then it may cause the person to introspect, to think over it. And this was explained before. 如前说, 若护生智. Yeah, if the Sangha, the community has decided, then you should also not do it. 若病若无力. If you are sick, if you are weak, then there's no problem. 若使有力者说. Yeah, so you get someone who is more capable. 若比有力, 多知识, 多德, 大德, 自求众具. So if that person has their own ability, they have knowledge, and they have merits, they have virtues, and so they are able to acquire their own items. Then you don't have to provide. 若曾受教自己知法. Yeah, so as explained before, you have when you try to teach them, you find out that they have already learned it. Yeah, so if they have already learned it, don't do unnecessary things. Don't ask them to relearn the same thing. So in some Dharma school, they learn about the birth of the Buddha every single year. Yeah. Every year, life of the Buddha. The Buddha was a prince born in Lumbini Park in the city of Kapilavastu. He lived in 3 palaces. Every single year they learn the same thing. P1 they learn about this, P2 they learn about this, P3, P4, P5, P6. Then Sec 1 again they learn about this. For 10 years they learn about the life of the Buddha. Learn until they are like, I interviewed one of the kid, who dropped out. Not really dropped out. He finished the whole program, and then he told me, he said, how many times must the Buddha be born? Yeah. So if you are involved with teaching children about the Dharma, you should also check, have they been going through the same material? In the Chaka conference, one thing came up. Buddhism is so boring. And as a result, many groups try to change the format. Change this, change that. But if we just jump in and change without figuring out what exactly is boring, then we may be changing the wrong things. We may be changing the wrong things. I have also, just now I mentioned about one kid who said that, we are seeing the same material day in, day out. Of course it's boring. If every single week I keep talking about Precept 37, every single week, Precept 37, you'll be like, Sifu, I close 2 eyes in my sleep, I can memorize Precept 37. Why are you going through this again? But there are also students who tell me that it's boring. And it's their first session. And I asked them, so what's so boring about it? They couldn't tell me what's so boring. And I asked them, so do you know what is going to be taught? They said they don't know. So then I look at them and ask them, if you don't know what is going to be taught, how do you know it's boring? And just this simple question. And then got them thinking, and their eyes open up, and they're like, oh yeah, huh? What exactly is boring about it? So before we rush in and try to change this and that, we've got to ask ourselves, what exactly is boring? Part of the reason why people sometimes find that things are boring is because of the perception, from the mass media about Buddhism. And so, if we don't actively promote or highlight the way Buddhism really is, then the only impression people have about Buddhism is what they see from mass media. So what do you see from mass media? This family, something happened, then the mother, usually the uneducated mother, go to temple, and pray, or the gangster go and pray. They're always portraying Buddhists like that, Like it's as though there are no working professionals who are good and kind who are Buddhists. Rubbish. Anyway, okay. 若成熟的 ，OK， 若外道这个是什？哎呀，这个怎么字啊？切法。若外道切法，不能调伏。Important thing is if you cannot subdue them, and you know that they come with the evil intention to just steal, not to learn Dharma properly, then you should not teach them. Okay, we have covered that. Any thoughts or questions? So all the children, no such thing as children's. All the children should maybe feeling very heavy-hearted. Today Sifu talk so much about caning. Have you been caned before? Never. You have? You have. Caning should be used sparingly. Really?
Yeah, really. So
Maybe-
you have to go the mental way, right, and find the buttons. I find that more effective.
Oh, so what kind of mental way?
But every kid is different, so you have to figure out where hurts most, right? Then you
Ah, wow, this is
form of
psychological warfare. And to a large extent, I agree with that. So I often ask parents, when parents are at wit's end, and they ask me, but I don't know how to punish them. So I say, well, I said more or less what you said, that you got to hit them where it hurts most. So there was one parent who kept on confiscating certain toy, and then she was like, but it doesn't work. So I'm like, does he have any other toys? Oh yeah, he has a lot. Then I'm like, so you're confiscating one particular toy that he don't really care, so of course it doesn't hurt. Yeah.
So you have to analyze and see what matters most to the child.
Yes.
And then
Take
you
that
go
away.
there. Yeah.
Yes. But never ever say, take that away forever. Because you know that you cannot do it forever. Yeah. You will sooner or later sim tia and then give it back. And the moment you give back, even though you said forever, that then they know that you don't mean what you say. Yeah. Then they know that there's a hole there already. Yeah. But we can explore what ways work better. And if you all would like to try the Shifu way of caning, you all can sign up. See me after this, then we'll have a demonstration. And you'll hear before it hits them, they'll hear the whoop. Then they'll feel it across their palm, their gentle, their tender palm. Okay, good. Any other thoughts or questions? Yes? One there, one here. Yes.
Yeah, Sifu, actually nowadays a lot of sharing at work or talks or things about parenting. They actually don't encourage caning. They encourage more on communication.
Yeah, I don't believe in that. I believe that if your child is 15 years old, you should start to communicate already. 13, 14 years old, you should start communicating. But when you try to communicate to a 3-year-old, I mean, seriously, we are kidding ourselves. And as I said, I don't say that all children can't understand. The thing is, number one, they are more articulate than they are matured mentally and emotionally. Yeah, and half the time their brain is still developing. So you spend time reasoning with them today. 2 days later, they really forget, They really forget because the memory is still not so stable yet. So I still don't agree.
How about young adult?
Yeah, of course, young adult, you cannot be killing them. Yeah. But you see, at the end of the day, it's about impressing upon them this sense of consequences. The teaching of 5 precepts is about consequences. That when you do something, there are consequences to yourself and others. That is not pleasant. When we talk about causality, it's about cause and effect. Effect is the consequence. If we cane the child, it's not about hurting the child, it's about getting them to learn about consequences. So whether we reason with them, or we physically cane them, or take away their favorite toy or whatever, it's about getting them to recognize that there are consequences. Too many times I've sat down with parents, and you know what? Oftentimes the pattern goes like this. The child misbehaves, throw a tantrum, then the parent either coax or cajole or whatever, don't cane, don't physically manhandle and bring them somewhere else, but just, and sometimes after some scolding or talking, they stop. Then I ask them, so what is the consequences? What are the consequences of that? Then they say, huh? What consequence? They stop already, ma? And I'm like, so beyond you stopping them, beyond you talking to them, and so on and so forth, are there other consequences? And they said, no, but Sifu, they are okay after that. And this is what I tell them. You must remember, when a robber is put into jail, the robber at that point in time was not stealing. Let me repeat. When a robber is put into jail, at that point in time, the robber wasn't stealing. When the robber was stealing, maybe the robber was caught red-handed. Maybe he wasn't. But after all the investigation, he was apprehended. When he was apprehended, he wasn't stealing. When he was sentenced in court, he wasn't stealing at that point in time also. Just because he was stopped by the police doesn't make it okay. So my point to parents oftentimes is, just because your child stopped after your reasoning doesn't mean that you shouldn't give any more consequences. There should still be punishment. Yes, you stopped already, but you wasted everybody's time, you know. Maybe if you don't think caning works, don't cane. But there must still be consequences. Because otherwise, the only consequence is just talking. Just talking. So I often tell people this second part, which is, imagine if when you don't put parking coupon, and the parking warden come here and talk to you, reason with you. Hey, GS, tell you so many times. Just use him as an example. Or, KS, tell you so many times. Last week I caught you also, right? Remember? Very disappointing. I tell you so many times, you must put coupon. Then let's say GS or KS. Sorry. Okay, I put. Do you think there's any impetus for them to put in future? No consequences. Because they were supposed to put in at the first place. Right? Whether or not they should be caned or they should be fined, should it be $20 or $70, that's a different story. But there must be consequences beyond them doing what they're supposed to do at the first place. When the child misbehaves and stop misbehaving, they shouldn't be rewarded for not misbehaving. They are not supposed to misbehave at the first place. But now we have lowered the bar so much that as long as they stop, we are so, 谢天谢地, me too. That shouldn't be the case. So while I still think that at a certain age, corporal punishment is required, by all means, I don't say that you all must do it. I tell parents every time, you all have to decide what kind of punishment is suitable. But remember, 事情有对错有轻重. Your punishment must commensurate with the wrong or crime being done. Yeah? If the punishment is the same throughout, if for any crime you do, you receive death penalty, there will be anarchy in the country. Because if I kill someone, I get death penalty. I rob somebody, I get death penalty. I forgot to put parking coupon, I also get death penalty. Then all parking warden will be killed. Because anyway, I'm going to be killed. I kill you, maybe I don't get caught. Then I drive off. And in the same way, if parents punish their children, doesn't matter whether it's caning or scolding or whatever, grounding or whatever. If it's one single kind of punishment for everything, you have trouble. Because then the child cannot learn about severity. I come back at 11 o'clock, I also get punished. Come back at 2 o'clock, also get punished in the same way. Then I might as well just come back at 5. Yeah, you got to give them reason to behave. Yeah, even if it means getting lesser punishment. Yeah. Was there someone behind who wanted to? Yeah. No? Anybody else? Okay. If not, then let's put our palms together. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛，起立。